Welcome back to our Fox News virtual town hall, America Together, returning to work. Here tonight, live from the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., we are joined now by President Donald Trump. Good to see you, sir.
Well, thank you both very much. We never had a more beautiful set than this, did we?
That's right.
Amazing.
Thanks for doing this. This
you.
is a little different than our last town hall in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. That's true.
We'll
that
be
was
taking
the beauty.
questions from around the country.
Good.
And a lot of great questions. I want to start with this, though, Mr. President. There is a real split in the country. There are folks out there becoming increasingly angry about the closures. There are many Americans also who are angry about the reopenings. They're fearful. As many of these states are on the rise in their numbers, there's 66,000 deaths, more than that now.
Yeah.
As president, what do you say to the people who are scared to go back to work on one side? And what do you say to the people who are really angry about these lingering closures?
Well, I think you can satisfy both. If you're scared, you're going to stay back a little bit and you're going to watch it. And I think anyone over 60, because we have a pretty good roadmap right now. Anybody over 60, you could say 65, but let's make it 60. We have to protect those people and we have to watch it, and maybe they stay back longer. But no, I think you can really have it both ways. I think a lot of people want to go back. They just want to go back. You see it every day. You see demonstrations all over the country, and those are meaningful demonstrations. Oh, it's big stuff. But you also have some people that are very scared. Probably everybody's scared when you get right down to it. It's a terrible thing that happened to our country. It came from China. It should have been stopped. It could have been stopped on the spot. They chose not to do it, or something happened. Either there was incompetence or they didn't do it for some reason. And we're going to have to find out what that reason was. But people are absolutely scared. But there are other people that are scared about being locked in a room and losing their job and not having any income. And, you know, for the first time, these are workers. These are people that want to get back and work and make a living. And they're afraid their job's not going to be there. And at a certain point, if you keep it going too long, that's going to happen. So I understand that very well.
On that note, let's hear from our first video questioner. This is Shayna Cruz from Coleman, Alabama.
Mr. President, my name is Shayna Cruz, and I'm a single mother from Alabama. I lived paycheck to paycheck before the virus, but then I lost my job in March. I haven't received a stimulus payment or anything from unemployment. I'm behind on every bill, about to be evicted from my home, and I've had to rely on donations in order to feed my children. I feel frustrated and I feel scared, not knowing where to turn or what to do. What advice do you have for me and others in my situation? Is there more help coming?
Number one, there's more help coming. We have really no choice because incredible people like this are, you know, it's not your fault. I mean, just remember that it's not your fault. And there is more help coming. There has to be. And we want to get it to a point when we open, we're not going to lose businesses. And therefore, more importantly, frankly, we're not going to lose the jobs that run the businesses. So a case like that is an exact, you know, it's really, that's the reason why we have to do more. And we're going to do more. And everybody wants to do more. It's actually on that aspect of it, it's very bipartisan. So the answer is yes, we're going to do more, and you're going to have your job. You're going to get another job, or you're going to get a better job. You get a job where you make more money, frankly. And I think that's going to happen. I think we're going to have an incredible following year.
That you now see the error of your ways and understand that the society cannot function where one's own belief in a concept of liberty permits you to flaunt your disdain for the rulings of duly elected officials. That you owe an apology to the elected officials whom you disrespected by flagrantly ignoring and in one case defiling their orders, which you now know obviously apply to you. That you understand that the proper way in which in an ordered society to engage concerns which you may have had is to hire a lawyer and advocate for change, an exception or an amendment to laws that you find offensive. That you publicly state that this is the way that citizens in the state should behave. and that you represent to this court that you will today cease operation of your salon and not reopen until after further orders of the government permit you to do so. This court will consider the payment of a fine in lieu of the incarceration which you've demonstrated that you have so clearly earned. Is there anything that you would like to say?
Judge, I would like to say that I have much respect for this court and laws, and that I've never been in this position before, and it's not some place that I want to be. But I have to disagree with you, sir, when you say that I'm selfish, because feeding my kids is not selfish. I have hairstylists that are going hungry because they'd rather feed their kids. So, sir, if you think the law is more important than kids getting fed, then please go ahead with your decision, but I am not going to shut the salon.
So we're doing that. It's a great question because it's a very hard drug to make, and it takes a period of time, and it's made by Gilead. And I know that Danny gave that drug a lot of credit for saving his life. I think that's correct, Danny. But Danny, I believe, gave a lot of credit to that drug for saving his life. We are pushing it really hard. We're also pushing something else, the vaccines. We are very confident that we're going to have a vaccine at the end of the year. By the end of the year, have a vaccine.
By the end of this year?
We think we're going to have a vaccine by the end of this year.
What do you know, babe? You can take out the mask, Doug. The case fatality rate's like 0.1 to 0.3 according to USC. Is it really? That's reassuring. USC. Everybody here's been vaccinated anyway. USC and LA County Public Health come out with a study.
So the restaurant business is a tough business to start off with, not an easy business. We're doing a number of things. Number one, the supply chain is going to be in great shape. I did the Defense Production Act. We did things. The problem with the supply chain is you have people that have gotten sick with the COVID-19. You've had the people and they've gotten sick. They're getting better, and they're all getting better, and you can't make them work. I don't want them to work, frankly, if they're not feeling great. But we did something the other day, which you read about, which was a great shock to the system in a positive way. We have tremendous supply. We have tremendous demand. We have to get it from supply to the people, to the restaurants, and we're doing that really very well. 2 days ago, I signed this. It's coming along really good. They'll have, now the bigger problem is what's going to happen with the restaurant. So we're not going to have any chain problem. The bigger problem is what are you going to do with a restaurant, which was, you know, a nice little business, but all of a sudden they have half the number of seats if they go. Eventually, we're going to have all those seats back. You're going to have all those seats. I want to sit next to people. I don't want to have all this spread out.
Tonight, for the first time, we're getting an inside account of the scramble within the Trump administration as it tried to get a handle on the unfolding pandemic. Today, ousted vaccine expert Rick Bright filed a formal whistleblower complaint alleging his warnings were ignored. CBS's
Nora, Rick Bright's complaint lays out in detail just how devastating he predicted the coronavirus would be and how he tried to get his superiors to listen. Tonight, President Trump is not addressing the bombshell report, focusing instead on reopening the country.
On his first big trip in over a month, President Trump ditched social distancing guidelines to greet the governor of Arizona, Doug Ducey, and later toured a mask production line without wearing one himself. With governors continuing to complain about a shortage of testing and protective equipment, the vice president's acknowledgement that the coronavirus task force will be wound down is raising questions. Top health advisor Anthony Fauci told CBS News he was unaware of the plans. In a new whistleblower complaint, Rick Bright, who was ousted from his job leading the administration's efforts to find a vaccine, claims he warned the White House in January of the crisis that was coming but was ignored. Bright says he encountered resistance from HHS leadership, including Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar, who appeared intent on downplaying this catastrophic threat, and that Bright's persistent demands for urgent action had caused an S-storm. Bright also warned in January the U.S. would need 3.5 billion N95 masks and suggested putting together a disaster leadership group. One of 50 attachments to the complaint is a February 9th memo from Trump advisor Peter Navarro, warning of a serious pandemic that could extend well into next year, and called for halting the export of N95 masks and buying all existing doses of remdesivir.
I want to ask you about what Dr. Fauci said last night about the reopening of the country. He said it's the balance of something that's a very difficult choice. How many deaths and how much suffering are you willing to accept to get back where you want to be? Do you see it that way? Do you believe that's the reality we're facing, that lives will be lost to reopen the country?
It's possible there will be some, because you won't be locked into an apartment or a house or whatever it is, but at the same time, we're going to practice social distancing. We're going to be washing hands. We're going to be doing a lot of the things that we've learned to do over the last period of time. And we have to get our country back. You know, people are dying the other way, too. When you look at what's happened with drugs, it goes up. When you look at suicides, I mean, take a look at what's going on. People are losing their jobs. We have to bring it back, and that's what we're doing.
Let me ask you about the tremendous hurt in this country. There are 30 million Americans who are unemployed. You don't need me to tell you that. We're expecting the new unemployment rate this week. There have been forecasts 15, 16, 17%. One of your advisors projected an unemployment rate of 19%. That's nearly 1 in 5 Americans without a job. How bad is this going to get?
Well, that is what it is. And, you know, it's very interesting. Even the Democrats aren't blaming me for that. We had to close it up, and we saved millions of lives, and we did the right thing. Now we're getting back to work. The third quarter, I think, is going to be, I call it a transition quarter. A lot of people, you see it. I tell you what, I got on the plane today. There was such spirit. People are starting to feel. We land in Arizona. I leave from D.C. I get calls from everybody all over the country. I just spoke to the governor of Florida. Florida is really active.
I think a lot of people share that hope, Mr. President, but the reality for so many of the families that we've reported on is they can't afford to wait for the next quarter. They're just trying to get through next week or the next dinner they put on the table.
Well, we've done a lot for that, though. We've done our small business, as you know, our PPP, paycheck, if you want to call it that, where small businesses are given billions of dollars so that they can take care of their employees. We've done a lot of other. Look, we've done $2 trillion, and it's actually close to 3 if you really add it up, but $2 trillion has been approved, and we'll probably do more. It's a stimulus. It's to keep people employed, to keep small businesses open.
Your own numbers have shifted over time.
They have.
You said 60,000 Americans could die. That's what you said last week. I watched your town hall over the weekend. You said 75, 80 to 100,000 people could die. Which models are you looking at? And what should Americans be prepared for as we reopen the country and head into the fall where we could see a potential second wave?
Well, the upper number was, as you know, 2.2 million people. And then there are some models or charts that showed higher than that. But 2.2 million people. I always felt 60, 65, 70, as horrible as that is. I mean, you're talking about filling up Yankee Stadium with death. So I thought it was horrible, but it's probably going to be somewhat higher than that.
Are you still convinced we'll have a vaccine by year's end and 300 million doses, which you had spoke of?
Take my phone, take my phone, get my phone. Yo, what you doing? Get that phone back. Back up. I'm a 10 in the building, but that's not right, guys. I'm not out of here. That's really not right. I got bugging. I got all back up. Back the fuck up. Back. I don't give a fuck moving. Back up. Oh, you ready in the pepper? No, that's fine. Back up. You're gonna hear a complaint tomorrow. Back up. Yo, you're gonna hear a complaint from the mayor office tomorrow. Right. Right. Are you backing up or are you backing up? Not because it is, but because they're ready to pepper spray me, bro. Back up. What's going on? That's not necessary. He's not a threat to you guys.
I'm not a threat to y'all.
Bro, I'm 20 feet away from you, bro. No, that's
Do you
fine.
live here?
That's fine.
Yes, I live here. Then go inside.
Nah, what you did to him?
Do you want to go with him?
Bro, what you did that to him, bro?
I ain't do nothing to you. Do you want to go with
What
him?
you did that to him, bro?
He said
I got you on video the whole time.
Then go.
I recorded you the whole time.
Get inside.
Nah,
Bro, I gotta go in the house though.
Yes.
I got you on video the whole time. That's no. Y'all both.
Why do you listen, boy? What did I do to you, yo? What are you looking at? You want to go with your friend?
For what? What we doing?
For not wearing a mask.
July 5th, what?